I should shut up.
Shut up, you should talk.
All right, no, I should talk appropriately. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this bonus week right here at Cabaret. Hello! Woo! I know our great feature, John Hargraves, is out there checking out stuff, so we'll all holler for him when he comes. Oh, is that just him walking in right now? Nope, that's got. I'm like, who is it? I'm like, is that him? I'll have to yell like mad like that. But I was going to start, and even my wonderfully phenomenal sidekick Bob Rashkow asked, "Oh, have you written any more Elements poems?" And I said, "No, because that seems to be what I'm all about doing right now." But I wrote something just today because I heard that last night Ariel Castro hung himself.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And I just looked at it very, very briefly, and I just, like, I'll put music to this. I just wrote this, and John heard some lines and said something to me. I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to see if I can incorporate that into this. So this is called Under Constant Supervision. I kept them trapped for so many years. I'd go to church. No one suspected. When they got out, they persecuted me. And now I sit here. Square room, metal bars. I suppose now I'm the one that's trapped. A single light above glares down at me. If I get as far as I can from that one white light, my long shadow stretches toward infinity. That shadow of my life seems so long, but I can still see the end as clear as today. I won't complain to them. They'll never know what it's like to be persecuted like this. They keep me in protective custody. They check on me every 30 minutes. But I'm not on suicide watch. If I was, I'd be under constant supervision. I know they won't give me a rope. I'll have to be careful so they won't see that a bed sheet'll do, even if they only give me 30 minutes. Thank you. I know, very short and weird, but I'm just like, I just saw that, I'm like, I'm going to try to make it as existential or separate as possible while making it as specific as possible. I guess. I don't know. But that's just what I did today. Yay. In the meantime, I'm going to call me up an open mic so I can drink from my handy-dandy beer stand. And if anybody needs a thing for putting their poetry down or putting their soda or beer down, you're more than welcome to it. So please, ladies and gentlemen, gotta put it down. Give it up for Joffrey. Come on up, everyone. And by the way, Joffrey came to the interview that I had last week, and I thought it was really funny when I had to read that poem too far. And I'm like, by the way, keep in mind that when I wrote this poem, I was a blonde, and you just let, you just laughed so hard at that. I'm like, you still hear that one, but I'm like, I just want to say, that was awesome just hearing you for that. But go on ahead. I'm going to shut this guy. Make him quiet.
Well, after that interview, in a Thai restaurant, either excluded me from saloon poets. So more about that later, I suppose.
Yeah. You're in a saloon now. Weird. It's the saloon at 7
The saloon is 7, isn't it? The
Yeah.
saloon at noon.
on Wednesday.
It's hardly a saloon on Monday.
Yeah.
Well, the title here is A Bourgeois Progression. From Huey Long country to Vietnam to celibacy to anti-militarism in the hierarchy, Vaticanized anti-prophetically by being armed, more armed than any corresponding political entity in population ratio. All this before coming to judgment by rogue judges, blasphemously judging, contrary to he who said, "Judge not." And the contradiction liberates, is liberating, perhaps to become father, not in name only. Jesus never voted, but Antichrist do, a cardinal sin. And unlike the Francis, whose wealth was the poor, Francis I keeps $50 billion in Rothschild banks in France, thriving contrary to Luke 6:35, while the Jesuit poses with the poor, offered benedictions, as did Benedict XVI, as he tightened the discipline of nuns, for whose cause the royalty of the church puts Roy more on their level, which is perhaps more on the level after all.
Ooh.
And the title here is Regarding a Current War for Israel. The epigraph is from http://www.sena.sci/sprint.html question mark SID equals 385715 and New Lang equals Ing, 3 December 2011. He, Webster Tarpley, added, what you are dealing with here is not a civil war, but death squads. You are dealing with terror commandos. This is typical CIA method. In this case, it's a joint production of the CIA, MI6, Mossad. It's got money coming from Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. And this is two epigraphs. The second is from Sherman Skolnick, who was reported murdered by Mossad 7 years ago last May. Report from anonymous source. New York City firemen, there were bombs in the building. Cyberspaceorbit.com. Crucial info evidence. Explosives toppled WTC. Democracy is voted by the media method that ignores Cassandra. Democracy is method of voting for banksters no matter how you vote. Democracy is the method of voting savings out of your bank account onto the ledger line of bankers as we see in Cyprus, and said to be coming to you. Democracy is a method of voting down peace such as not come to Korea for 60 years. But be not fooled by a vote in Parliament against going into Syria. As the people think they vote against war, war is being made, already made, by CIA, MI6, Mossad, and the same NATO that took it to Libya, flying it to Syria. Whilst Cameron, later Obama, tries to make it fly in the mother of parliaments that a punishing strike against Assad for possessing WMD that Rumsfeld conveyed to Saddam is not to help the Al-Qaeda rebels. And Al-Qaeda falsely accused for 9/11, now directly used for Zion, with Arab money, including Qatar, which drives honest journalists out of Al Jazeera in the interest of democracy. The Cassandra effect. Cameron hypocritically tries to make it fly that gassing is unpermitted, whilst UK itself prepared to gas a German invasion. Are rebels using Israeli gas against Syrian people? How do you know? George Bernard Shaw was a tax resistor. In any case, how can you vote against the nature of the state? To non-violence relate by abolishing state and interest rate.
I'm sorry, I'm in your way. I'm so sorry. I'm just slapping around like, well, you know, I usually like rush up to the next person and say, by the way, you're the next one up. But by the way, everyone so that they know the next person that's going to be up is going to be our lovely, beautiful, seductive Bob Rashkow. Sorry, I'm telling everyone. But I was going to actually start and read 2 Twitter-length poems first, so I'm warning you in advance. Okay. So you're coming. If you get a fun idea and you want to do something short, this is what I came up with, and this is one I wrote yesterday. This is called Objectifiable. I've experienced it for I don't know how many years. Men degrading women. Walking down the street, a man in an ugly minivan stuck his head out the car window to holler for me. Wow, lucky me. I'm still objectifiable. I'm usually so angry, and usually they're past me, and so I'm just doing this backwards, giving the finger to space, and somebody, you know, honking their horns, which is usually big trucks doing. But this one is somebody that was going. I'm like, what? I have no ass. What are you looking at that you're hollering? He's out like, wah! And I'm like, you know, like, what do you do? And I'm like, well, lucky me. I can still be objectifying me. You know, and like, what do you do? This other one, I just wrote her a short while ago, and John thought this was really funny. And this doesn't necessarily mean here, because the beer prices are always good here, and I like this place. This is a Twitter-length poem called Flying to China. I'll have to check airfares to be sure, but I think that flying to China for 2 weeks to drink there may be cheaper than drinking in Chicago for 2 weeks. You know, you want to sit there and drink a lot of, you know, get to go out to the store. It's like, here, for a quarter, you're getting 24 ounces of bottles in the street from some. I'm like, this is insane. I'm like, really? It might be cheaper to just fly there and drink. I'm not sure. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, 22 poems, whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Mr. Wonderful himself, the Bobster, Bob Rashkow. And I don't know if you were able to read that or if you wanted to read that. I'm just like,
I'm good.
I'm afraid.
I'm good.
reading every. Oh, I'm good. Thank you.
Of course, you could always dig the tunnel down to China, and that's free. Although it does cost money to get a shovel, but that's probably only a couple of bucks.
It's cheaper
Maybe-
than all the beer you
Maybe
can
a
spend in
pail,
China.
yeah, a pail to collect the sand and
The pulley
plenty of
system.
beer bottle for digging. Yeah.
Hire prisoners.
Never
to dig.
mind, it does cost money. All right, so much for that. All right, this is from, these are once a week in the date book, in the After Apocalypse.
Yeah,
One
and sometimes
poem a
there might be two in the page of the really tiny ones.
Oh,
but yeah,
okay.
so I'm like, yeah.
So this is a poem from the After Apocalypse date book published by Scars Publications.
Woo!
And it is for this week, the week of September 1st through the 7th, and it is called An Appropriate Hell, and it is by Richard Fine, that's F-E-I-N. Never made much sense to me, whips, pitchforks, brimstone, the whole rigmarole. The Prince of Dark Cunning should reward his minions if only to keep them loyal, exalt and place the best workers on sulphurous thrones, and pin goat horn medals on the most devoted. This eternal burning stuff is not good publicity. Hell isn't run by the mightiest foe of God and man, but by a grade 5 civil servant with seniority. And the wages of sin couldn't be death, for then both good and evil would receive the same salary, and that's communism, God forbid. As for their retirement benefits, there's the gold watch, useless of course, for neither time nor glitter have any value down there. Of course, walking downstairs is easier than walking up. But at the bottom, there's a processing center with an eternity of forms to fill out, and a waiting line so very long one can't notice it's circular around a horned, red-bodied, pitchfork-wielding, nitpicking intake clerk finishing his lunch break. And it's a long, long, long lunch break. After all, gluttony is one of that sin-mongering clerk's 7 nicknames. Thank you, Richard. Now I'll read one of mine. This is from Chicago Calling 2011, I believe, or it might be 2010. I don't know. But it was in conjunction with some of Orrin Buck's wonderful videos. This is called Light Dreams Blue. On a journey, I came from something, don't know where I'm headed, but it looks like someplace. Green, green, then blue, yellow, purple, black, gray. My mind is assaulted by scattered photographs, pictures of something I came from, but what does it all lead to? At times, it looks as though the pictures meld into one, and for just a split moment, I can see my home, my destination. Am I joining those who died before me? Am I waking from a nightmare? Where does this madness end? Does this beauty ever end? Will I come to or just keep on dreaming? Pictures, paintings, stitch samplers, pamphlets, mad, mad river of life fading. Thank you. And I will end with one of Patrick Hurley's prayer poems.
Yeah, Patrick Hurley can't make it this week, so we need our Patrick Hurley.
It's too bad. I probably can't read this as good as he does anyway.
No.
Tears fall at all moments. I'm held in sadness, static and still. Motionless melancholy that wraps sticky tentacles around my inner soul. Father, Father, on my knees, I bow before you and beg for mercy. I cry to hear your voice, yet only the sound of sorrowful songs grace my ears in a symphony of cacophony and confusion. Father, when will your love engulf me with joy, turn these salty rivers from my eyes into those brought forth by happy moments, like those tears I cried as a child when the last gift on Christmas morning was exactly what I had wanted all year long. Thanks.
Woo! Thank you. Sorry, doing a little, I don't know what that was. Thank you very much. And we got our Petra Curly fix. I know, he's like, I can't make it every week up at that. I'm with child, I wanted to say on some Wednesdays, so we can't make it on our bonus week. So thank you for that Petra Curly fix. And speaking of, I happen to have this bag here. And I think there are like gold doubloons in here for our feature already. I don't know what's up with that. But I would like, which is why I say if you have change and you have to, go ahead. But put your life savings into this if you aren't willing. What do I have? Because we've got a great feature tonight from Don Hargraves. Give it up for Don. Right, come on, Don. Yeah. I see people back and, oh, yeah. I said, oh, yeah, I'll wait. So
I get liquored up.
Well, yeah, then you put more into the handy-dandy bag, with the liquor bag even, so it seems fitting. But in the meantime, that doesn't mean you're free and clear. I'll go and bug you for money for our feature. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Jerry Pendergast. Jerry, give it up for him.
I'll make a contribution right now. What the hell?
And you can wait if you want. I won't look. Just make sure he's not pulling anything out.
What was that?
Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Why did you do that for Brendan?
All right.
Don't worry about it.
Take another beer so I can get a little bit of change. Okay, this is called Image. Imagine a nation disunited in discourse, thousands of visions, accusations, cliches thrown, answers baiting, denouncing. Image from a mirror different than the vision behind the eyes of a viewer. Yeah, I actually did one that's not 19 stanzas. It's called Destined. I demand, I feast with a fence around my land. Distinguished guests sip and nibble. Tales of losses and gains flow from mouths. I designate a safe distance to the authorities for a tiny community nearby. It's an attempt to see the world from a fish's point of view. View from underwater. Is the vision to the shore blurred by a weed bed, by the speed of a boat, or a strong current, or some new specimen, or something dumped or spilled in the water that damaged the eyes of a fish? I have to do this since school starting. This is called Classical Ed U. Class, I call your attention. Excuse me, class, I call your attention to various patterns of speech. I know you have been herded here from many regions. Ed, you a Cajun? You lately have heard of the various critter sizes. Excuse me, I meant to say theories of criticism. But please refrain from deconstructing your chairs. I'm sorry, that was one. 2, class, I call your attention to the recommended teaching methods. Standard, I say. Shun dialect? Sure, I call this class of speech to your attention. Standards of Ohio, Indiana say drill more. Litter a C.
I have to see that one in writing.
I will, sure. I can email it to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention. Class has begun. Please pay attention. Please pay attention. Somebody pay attention. Hello. Because I wanted to be, and I was just like, Bob, will you read something from this? Because I've just been reading so many things from this after the Apocalypse Date book, which I recently just got a compliment from somebody. They're like, I love this thing. This is really handy because I've got, I marked down everything on it, and it's all bashed up, and because I treat it like crap. So I just thought I'd go to a previous week because I didn't read something. This. What?
He's got some good puns.
Oh. Well, everybody here does, and this is why it's triple plus awesome. But well, it is. But I thought I'd share things with people who aren't even around here. I don't know where Sheila Kremen, Cremin, I don't know where Sheila's from. Pardon me?
Probably
Cremin. All right, there we go. See, I'm really bad at I don't understand names, and I read. I'm really smart. This is a poem that also appears in here from the week before. From the end of August. This is called You're Wasting the Hot Water. Oh, but it feels too good. It falls over me like warm, soft hands, grasping, grazing my hair, so soothing down my back, smoothing over my curves, dripping between my legs, falling so gently at my feet, then whirling round the drain. Steam rises, capturing us together in its thick haze. Now I can't leave. The air outside the curtain, it just doesn't understand. It crawls over my skin, raising bumps across my arms like painful pricks. Oh, but now it fades to cold, the warmth washed away so quickly. I come to consciousness so abruptly, just as I woke earlier to the soothing sounding alarm. I turn its knob to end the steam. It's over. I'm soaked and stripped. And yes, I've wasted the hot water. But it felt, oh, so good, you see. Thank you. I figured maybe I could pull off that thing to get rid of that one. So I think because cc&d and Down the Dirt came out new this month, maybe I can get a couple poems read from Mr. John Yatko. Give it up for John. Come on up here, brother.
I don't know if
that'll
work. I don't know if that's flat.
It seems to be flat. That'll seem to work. Oh, but I'm too tall for this kind of thing. So I'll do it this way. I'll just cheat. So I got a couple of poems here out of the latest issue of cc&d.
Is that cc&d?
cc&d, or this is
That
down,
sounds
in the
good.
dirt.
Look
I
how
am
it-
sorry, this is down in the dirt.
Yeah,
This is down in the dirt.
Janine and Tom bought the cc&d off me, so I don't have that right
Yeah, and speaking of Janine and Tom, here we are, we're driving down Lincoln on our way here, and who do we see walking down the street? But Janine and Tom. And they were on the way to take care of something, and that's why they're not here tonight. But it's kind of funny because we stopped and we said, hey, we'll give you a ride. We know how to get there.
We're on our way there.
Anyways, this first poem, it kind of, I don't know, they're both by Liam Spencer. It kind of made me think back when I was in the Marines. So those of you who are familiar with the Old Testament, you might get this. But me and a friend of mine, we were sitting around at a Ponderosa or someplace where they had all-you-could-eat shrimp, arguing about gays. And, me, I was like, there's nothing wrong with that. And he said it's an abomination in the Bible as he's sitting there stuffing his face with all-you-can-eat shrimp. For those of you who don't get it, look at Leviticus and Deuteronomy. You'll find it in there.
I'll get it.
Right.
Yep.
If you're orthodox, you don't make sure. Any shellfish.
The first one is called Verses. Scientists that have access to all levels of research done for decades or even centuries to test and retest, proving this and that, building on knowledge and advances. Marching society even further and faster than the now proven evolution, those that we all owe so much to in our daily lives. Yet, on TV and radio, they are reduced to begging people to understand varying degrees of danger from climate change to food safety. They sit opposite to quacks with narrow and incorrect views of the Bible. The TV and radio shows treat them as equals instead of the opposites they are, the sane and the stupid. I think if my family sees this on YouTube, they might have some questions for me. I don't know.
But you didn't write that, you were just reading that, so.
I'm just reading it, yes, but I introduced something before. And this next one just kind of speaks to anybody, I think. Another poem by Liam Spencer. It's called Another. The wine pours into my glass. A close friend to lean on. A deadly thief and enemy. Allowing a freer life and an earlier death. Life burning feverishly. Drinking to remember or to forget. To meet or to distance. Be included or excluded. To forget a bitterness in life. To live a life bitterness better forgotten. We all have our reasons. Just pour me another.
Thank you. I'm like, what is he doing? Why is he going and getting a bottle of wine or a glass of wine? And he like pours. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. That was about it in the wine. That's awesome. I would like, because we have time, if there is anybody that would like to do a second round, I can call people on up if you want to do any more. I'm looking at you, Jerry. I don't know if Bobster does or... I've got a bunch of things in the date book, but I'm trying not to do it. But what I was going to do, because I was going to introduce our feature this evening by reading a poem that he had published in cc&d magazine. And it was all about Atlas Shrugged, actually. So it was about Ayn Rand. So I thought I'd tell you a little story about this older poem of mine. Back in the day, probably the first open mic I ever went to was Yammer with Lisa Heminger, and she loved, admired Emily Dickinson. And she would have us sing
Because I could not
to the Yellow Rose of Texas, because I could not stop for death, because we stopped for me, and the whole thing, you can do that way. And so we all had to sing this, Emily Dickinson thing.
Harrison Hewitt did a routine like that.
Well, anyway. And in fact, when she came back into town, people hear her copies of the poem so everybody can sing along with it because she's back around. But she, at one point, decided, what would I ever say to her? If I had a chance to actually see her or talk to her, what would I say? So she came up with this poem that was 2 minutes with Emily Dickinson. And it was timed that it would be exactly 2 minutes long if you read it. And she would do this every once in a while, and a couple of us had said, all right, we're going to do that. And I know Janet Marshall did 2 minutes with Anais Nin, and I cannot remember what other ones did, but I said, I'm going to be the real, throw the monkey wrench into this, and I'm going to pick 2 minutes with Ayn Rand, who's not a poet. And so I did this one, and yes, it can be done in 2 minutes, but I'm not going to time it. I'm just going to read it. And I haven't read it so long, but this is 2 minutes with Ayn Rand. I don't believe in things that aren't proven, that we have no evidence of. But sometimes, I still think about what I would do if I had 2 minutes to talk to you. When somebody asked me what I would say, I said I'd rather hear you speak. I'm sure the words you would impart unto me would mean infinitely more than what I could say to you. And if I could talk to you, I wouldn't know what to say. But I know I'd have to tell you, like so many of your fans in the past, that I thank you for showing me that there are logical people in the world, that man can live by reason, that reason is a virtue, that selfishness is a virtue, that I have a right to what I earn, to what I create, to what I know to be true. I would have still been searching blindly for philosophical answers to the meaning of life if you never told me that I am worth something, that I am my own end. And it's nice to hear that even when I'm surrounded by these unthinking masses, that there are people who hold their minds at the highest value out there somewhere in the world. And the fact that they exist helps me through my days. But you knew that. You wrote about these heroes over the years, and how could you ever manage to write gripping, 1,000-page novels about heroes that a rational mind can't help but love? And did you really find that hero in real life? Because I'm still looking. You created these heroes, but are they just created? Does anyone else understand these values as I do? Yes, thank you for giving me the answers I've been looking for, but tell me someone else out there found the answers too. So maybe, if those who pose this unreasonable, illogical, ethical question in the first place, if they could give me another 2 minutes so that you could do some of the talking, maybe then you could explain to me how to get through the days when nobody understands you, and how to accept less than perfection when you have seen the purity and the clarity of the thinking mind. Probably over 2 minutes. And I probably have somebody that is, I won't even give them the gooey looks. So tell me, is there somebody, does somebody want to give me, I see Bobster, so he put his hand up. Get on up here, give it up to the Bobster, come on up and up.
Okay, I'm just going to read this one by Bruce Mattson from Warble. It's called Remembering 1966.
Is that his book?
Yeah, this is his book. Buy it. 1966 was a good year for dead people and knuckleheads. I wasn't a draftee. I quit school to join the Army, but before you paint me all heroic, let me tell you that I wasn't strong on current events, and Vietnam seemed like a foreign country, and the thing was, from the day I started vacation Bible school, all I wanted was to cut class. They said I tested well generally, so I could be anything I wanted, and of course my first choice was general. But despite their choice of words, that wasn't on their list. Next, I asked for fort builder. I was pretty good at that, and felt it showcased my military heritage. My approach to fort building was aggressive. Most people mistake a fort as a place to get surrounded, make a last stand, and die. But my folks could watch me go into a fort I'd built in the backyard, and when they came to get me for supper, I'd have been at my girlfriend's house for hours. The recruiters weren't impressed, and that's when they showed me the short list. There were only like 3 things on it: fighting, jumping out of things and fighting, and military intelligence. Besides the fighting thing, I suppose I chose military intelligence because of all those James Bond movies. And being kind of stupid, well, naive at the very least. Whatever. I never actually got to be a spy anyway. Because even though I tested well generally, privately I flunked the vision test and turned out to be colorblind. So they asked me if I had any experience as a code breaker, and I said sure. I wonder if things might have turned out differently if I had told them I was talking about dress codes, codes of silence, and codes of honor. They say the Army will make a man out of you. Right after me, they started trying it with girls and the uncommitted. I'm not certain that those events are related, but it seems to be working out for them all right. A man makes a dandy killing machine. But a woman? She doesn't need to kill. She can destroy you. And you'll still be walking around wondering, how long can a man live without an ass? Should we have women and gays in the military? Hell, why not? They took me.
Oh, hysterical.
That's Bruce.
See, that's the fun thing to be able. He's like, I'm just gonna, and I won't read any other poems from other things because I feel like I've been reading way too much. So I was really kind of hoping, because the only person around here that I can think of that has an awesomer voice than me, because I'm just perfect. I'm perfection. It is Jerry Pendergast. So please go over here and give me a song with love. Woo! I don't know.
Since school started, that also means that football has started. They've already played a college football game. And so this is a tribute to that. To find my singing voice a little less annoying, imagine that there's a banjo playing. Bong, 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 bong. I come from Pontchartrain, where I got dumped by Annie Lou. Played guard for Alabama, I got cut at LSU. Oh, Susanna, don't cry for me. I'm on my way to practice with tape around my knee. Bong, 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 bong. This is the academically responsible verse. I am taking 15 hours. I go to every class, just like I promised Coach and my wide-eyed Bonnie lass. Oh, Susanna, don't cry for me. I'm studying for midterms with an ice pack on my knee. Bong, 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 bong. When I hobbled off at halftime, saw a teardrop in her eye. The trainers have done their job, Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, I will feel no pain when I come back through the tunnel, shot up with Novocaine.
Are we just starting to get goofy and we should take a 5-minute break for you? Yes, 5-minute break, put on some music, but trust me, we'll come up with a phenomenal thing to come down.